Irresponsible individualism is a problem that is evident to most people when we look at the world around us. We are individually buying plastics in fast fashion while burning oil at incredible rates. It is this market driven individuality that is the sole driver for our irresponsible collective actions that are causing climate change. Yet this problem is not talked much about. I know this because when I decided to do research on the subject, I thought it seemed like a fairly unique idea. Yet the research is already quite extensive. We already know that our individual behaviors are having a huge collective impact on climate change. But very few mainstream social, political, or media groups are talking much about this. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of research papers on the topic. So why aren't we talking about this? How important is it really? I think that part of this problem has to do with how much we love being individuals, and we don't want to give that up. It is ingrained in our brains to like it when somebody compliments our new hairstyle or outfit, or likes how we decorate, designed, or created something unique. It makes us feel good because we get a dose of dopamine into our brains, but we are always left wanting more. This wasn't a bad thing for most of human history. In fact, individualism has promoted culture, art, technical innovation, and many other good things. However, sometime after the Industrial Revolution, capitalism and other free market systems found a way to package that dopamine high by disguising mass production paradoxically in the form of both individualism and collectivism at the same time, simply to make a profit. This wouldn't be so bad if the products we were buying weren't so detrimental to our world. Now, it's important to understand here that I'm not talking about our individual artistic creations, but rather our consumer habits and political action, or inaction as it may be. Climate change problems didn't happen because an individual like me decided to buy a plastic Coca-Cola bottle because it says my name on it. It happens when the other 900,000 Stevens that live in the US decide to do it too, collectively. Furthermore, many eco products are marketed as less harmful to the environment. This is like a less harmful bullet to the brain or less harmful poison to the body. Many green consumer products are not a solution to the environmental crisis. They just mask the larger institutional problems that got us to this point, while diminishing civic participation by distracting us from it. We have a market system that encourages the logic that literally everything can be bought and sold. This affects consumption habits, environmental action, and even social change. We need to reframe what it means to be environmentally sustainable by generating lasting social change through community awareness and participation to force collective action and change. I'm not arguing that individualism is somehow a bad thing. In fact, sometimes I think it barely exists anymore. Look, I can make a great hamburger because I'm a chef. Or can I? I can't raise the cattle or soybeans, slaughter and process the meat, plant a field of wheat, lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, or onions, harvest it all, mill the flour, bake the buns, and then cook it all and assemble it. No matter how much I feel like an individual chef, it takes hundreds of people to enable me just to make a burger. Climate change problems are the same, yet we've been manipulated into thinking that individualism is more important than collectivism. No one person is causing climate change because of their individual actions. It is only caused by collective action, so it can only be solved through collective action. This is where our real power lies. Through individuality, the market has found a way to control us, but through collectivism, we can control the market. Without this shift in power, decisions will continue to be made in the interest of the top 1% of the population. Our major challenge is to confront our interconnectedness and understand that our future depends on how we take care of the environment collectively. If we don't do it, who else will? If we truly like our sense of individuality, then we need collective action to protect it. This seems like a contradiction. However, it's important to recognize that climate change threatens individualist values. If we don't find solutions for climate change, then we will not have much time for individuality anymore. But our market-driven sense of individuality is pushing us the wrong way. We need a close-knit community where people know each other, depend on each other, and have close interpersonal relationships. Not one where relationships become superficial and we can shut off the real world when it becomes inconvenient to think about. This sense of individuality is only adding to the problem of climate change negligence. Our capacity to address climate change problems lie in our ability to work collectively. For example, Greta Thunberg may be the individual spark that caused a massive social reaction to climate change, which is amazing and good for her. But she is hardly the wildfire that now rages. Without the group of people that followed and supported her, we wouldn't even know her name. We sometimes attribute this whole movement to one person or very few people, but a movement can never be one person. It has to be a collective action to truly change society. But obviously, individualism is not all bad. It's an amazing tool that we can use for good. Thunberg used the freedoms her individualistic society allowed her to galvanize society to implement more stringent climate change regulations. This may be much harder to do in collective societies like China, where individual rights are restricted. It's a messy situation. The thing is, climate change problems might be pretty easy to address if we're all on the same page. Western media makes it look like we're all doomed and there's nothing to be done because their business gets more clicks and likes and therefore money from negative, hopeless stories. However, the rest of the world has already started to take action. The NGO Paani Foundation in India, for example, has organized villages to compete with each other to build the biggest berm. Thousands of these have been built across India to hold water from the rainy monsoon season so that it has time to soak into the water table. Building these berms collectively has actually increased the water table and given farmers, for the first time ever, a way to grow crops throughout the year. Satellite images show how parts of India are becoming greener than it ever has been. Collectivism is not a new idea. Ants, bees, wolves, and whales do it with tremendous success. It is responsible for everything in society, from the Great Wall of China to your home. Our world is already built collectively. Numerous cultures, groups, and individuals have promoted this idea over the centuries too. One of my favorites is an architect named Paolo Soleri. He thought that cars were ruining human societies, so he designed his city, Arco Santi, in northern Arizona to reject unnecessary individuality. Simple things like sharing a wall as opposed to a gap between houses would not only reduce building costs, but also reduce heating energy, reduce the geographic space needed, as well as the distance needed to travel to other places in the community and get other resources from the community. His ideas were very simple, and unfortunately he died before he built very much. But these ideas could be modernized to address climate change. I'm imagining a world where we take this idea to the voting booth and stop letting the polluters set the agenda for environmental laws. From electricity and water to medicine and food, we let businesses choose systems of distribution based on the ability to divide, repackage, and sell it to us individually. This is pretty much the opposite of sustainability and has to stop. I want a world where every air conditioner is connected together to collect water for the community, where medical care, clean food, water, and living environments are treated more like social services, much like public schools and libraries, instead of businesses, where humans learn to live collectively and in tandem with the environment instead of separating nature from us in the name of individuality. I cannot fix climate change problems alone. No more than my single vote will change politics. We can only do it collectively. And we could do it quickly once we've come together. The choice is up to us, individually and collectively.